Hey guys, my name is Brody. I am a contractor and I flip homes. And I've gotten a lot of questions on this Hercules miter saw stand paired with the Hercules table saw that you're looking at right here. I bought the Hercules miter saw and I really liked the stand that went with it. I really wanted to be able to pair that with my table saw. They didn't really have the option for a table saw stand at Harbor Freight. I saw a lot of guys in the comments and reviews were using I think it's a push cart. It's a hydraulic cart. They mounted a wood platform to the top and then they were able to mount their table saw to that. However, I tool around on a lot of cars. I like to do different things and try different things. So I have found out now through tinkering with this that this actually will work. Just a pre-note, you will void any warranties you have on the miter saw stand when you do this, because you do have to make some cuts. Real simple cuts though. The table saw you will not void any warranties with, and obviously that's what you're going to have the most problems with in the future. You definitely don't want to void any warranties with that. So I did not care about any warranties being voided with my stand because nothing's really going to go wrong with that other than the wheels maybe, and I can just take those in and get some new ones. So what you're going to look at when you first get this is there's going to be 4 rubber feet. You're not looking at them now because I've taken them off already. These rubber feet are right here. You are going to have 2 that are like this. There's a Phillips on one side. You remove that Phillips and you pop it off. The other side is going to have the actual adjuster. There's going to be a set screw on the back of this adjuster. Put a small screwdriver in there, unscrew this set screw while holding this on the back side, and then this will just drop right out. I slipped mine with a razor blade thinking, oh yeah, that'll allow me to be able to put a screwdriver on those 2 screws. I did not realize there's a set screw, so I made a dumb mistake there. But you do not have to slip this down on either side. Just go ahead and remove that set screw. It'll drop right out, and that's what you're looking at. Okay, that's how you raise and lower your table saw in order to level it. Then you're able to get at these 2 screws, these 2 Phillips, take those out. You'll be able to remove all of them. So once you get those 4 out, what you're looking at on your table saw is you're going to have on the front 2 holes. The one on the interior near the curvature here is going to be a little bigger. It almost fits your slide bolt. Not quite. So you can either, kind of put that in there and take an Allen wrench and get it through, or you can just barely drill out those holes. As you go around back, what you see is a nut. That's what your adjuster goes through. And you have one welded on both sides of the frame here. So these holes line up, these interior ones line up with your slides. So I've already checked and you are able to put your slides and mount them to the table saw base, which subsequently will mount to your miter saw. So that's the first thing we tackled. One thing you will have to do in order to get this bolt to fit, let me take this bolt out quick and show you. In order to get this hardware bolt to fit, you can't quite get it at the angle. So you are going to have to remove the 1, 2, 3, 4 Phillips head screws. Take this plate off real quick. Then you can drill your hole out from the bottom and drop this bolt through to mount it to the slides. Pretty simple so far. The next problem that you're going to run into is that your legs on the miter saw stand are going to be too high. I believe the table saw sat at 46 inches with mounted on just the factory miter saw stand. That's way too high. I'm more looking to mount at about the level of this island here in my kitchen. That's about 36 inches high, and it's a very good height for at least me. I'm 6 foot to be able to work on. So in order to do that, I took the legs off. There's 4 bolts and lock nuts that take them off. I believe they are a 13 millimeter. Simply take your legs off. Once you get them off, these are your dimensions to get that 36-inch height. You're gonna measure from here over 10 inches. And you're gonna cut 10 inches off all 3 of these longer ones. Now this one right here is a little shorter. And the reason why it's a little shorter, if I put it up there, you're gonna see it's a little shorter. Get a picture of that. That's how much shorter it is. And the reason for that is because it's the adjuster. The adjuster goes on the bottom of this one and is able to come in and out and raise your table height. So that one's gonna have a different measurement. What you're gonna do is you're gonna measure from here in the same 10 inches and cut it off, okay? Once you get that cut off, when you slide this back up to be even with the rest of them, you're going to be sitting at this much difference here, okay? So essentially we're cutting 10 inches off from all of these, real simple. Then when you mount this cap that's on the bottom back up, you know, it sits right at your cut, right about there. And then you have your adjuster that sits pretty level and even, dead even with the floor. Okay? Now, I will tell you that all of these do have a cap on the bottom. What holds them on, as you can see, were rivets. I simply drilled the top of the rivets off with a 1/4 inch drill bit, and they popped right off. All of these popped right off. Now this one's a little more tricky because it's not rubber like these. These are rubber and they bend and they're pretty easy to get off. The one with the set, the adjustment screw in it, or bolt, it's more of a solid plastic. And I simply drilled it, and then I took a piece of rebar and I put rebar down this side, and I popped it once and it came right off. Other than that, you'd think, oh man, that thing's glued on. It wasn't. It was a real easy thing. Just put a piece of rebar down it and it'll pop right off. So once you do that, you go out and you mark it. I got all these marked to cut. So I'm gonna go in the garage and I'm gonna take a grinder with a cutoff wheel and I'm gonna cut these. And then we're simply going to put the caps back on. Harbor Freight sells a rivet gun, you know, if you don't have one. You rivet these back on. You're gonna have to drill your holes, because if you're cutting this off, obviously there's gonna be a fresh hole that needs to be drilled when you put this back on. So drill your holes, simply put some rivets back in and secure those, and then you should be good to go. Just bolt your legs back up to your miter stand and mount your table saw to your slides, and bing, it just attaches just like that. And you can pair your miter saw stand from Harbor Freight with your Hercules table saw. I'm gonna go out in the garage and get this done, and we'll see how it looks.